like me and you've been wondering what would possibly motivate someone to join ICE, like the money can't be good enough to sell your soul like that, I think this article answers that question, and the motivation is way more pathetic than you think. This article is called 2 Days Talking to People Looking for Jobs at ICE, and the author wrote it under a pseudonym for pretty obvious reasons. Allow me to read you some excerpts. On Thursday and Friday of last week, I attended a Department of Homeland Security job fair at the Dulles Expo Center in Chantilly, Virginia. I learned about the event while browsing the DHS website in order to find the phone number of someone who'd been detained by ICE. A pop-up ad linked to an Eventbrite page with free tickets readily available. Customs and Border Patrol, the Coast Guard, and the Secret Service were all recruiting at the event, but ICE was the main draw. Far more applicants stood in line to submit their resumes for deportation officer than any other position on offer in the cavernous room. Naturally, there was a large number of law enforcement types hanging around the convention. Men with military fades, moisture-wicking shirts, and tattoos of the Bible and the Constitution and eagles and flags distended across their arms. But there were also a handful of women ICE applicants and a lot of men of color. The deportation officer applicant pool was, I felt, shockingly diverse. One might say it looked like America. The whole place looked and felt like America. Applicants were shown a recruitment video by ICE, about which the author writes, "The banality of settings presented in the video, juxtaposed with the grandiosity of mission, reminded me of a TikTok I had seen recently, which compared the way men and women move through the world. In the video, a couple walks through a mall while a series of subtitles announce their divergent thoughts. The man, ever on guard, sizes up the threat posed by each passerby, commenting to himself, 'I can take him,' or 'I'd need backup,' depending on the size of the individual in question. The woman just examines the shop windows, thinking things like, 'That's so cute,' or 'I wish I could buy that.' Although obviously unrealistic as a way of experiencing a mall, the video suggested that populating one's field of vision with imaginary threats might offer a sense of purpose, which life in suburban America does not always provide. One of the ICE applicants I spoke with seemed to have an insatiable desire for conflict in line with this hypothesis. All his life, he said, he hoped to fight in wars in Iraq or Afghanistan. He joined the army hoping to fulfill this desire. But our foreign wars had wound down by the time of his enlistment, and he never got the chance to fight abroad. Quote, "I learned all these skills in the army, smash and grabs, site exploitation, and never got to use them. So I'm here to kind of do what I learned to do over there, but this time defending my country." I found this man's account almost embarrassingly transparent. This was the most straightforward articulation I'd ever heard of someone bringing the war home. Other applicants offered similar explanations for their motives. There was the young taciturn southerner managing a batting cage near New Orleans, and a pimply youth from Kentucky churning out Yahoo Finance content for $20 an hour. Both said they were tired and bored. The latter said his father had been in ICE, but he, quote, "didn't really know what he did." Spoke to a gregarious New York police officer who was fed up with patrolling Times Square and all the savages there. Another applicant said he was sick of installing office furniture in properties subleased by the United States Marines. A blind man I spoke to, who was hoping to find a data-centric position with ICE, said he was sick of his current job collecting child support payments from delinquent parents. At present, he said, his hands were tied because the law in his state forbade him from sending in sheriffs to collect money from deadbeat dads. The last applicant I spoke to said he didn't care much about the politics of ICE. It was just that he thought his taxes shouldn't be used to buy school supplies for illegal alien children. What he was really interested in, he said, was parlaying his wages as a deportation officer into buying Airbnbs. Quote, "My classmates came up in the same environment as me, but now they're off posting photographs of Lamborghinis on Instagram, standing on balconies of waterfront apartments." His dad had also been at ICE. Once, in the early part of his career, the man had gotten to travel to Southeast Asia on various deportation flights and had sent his son photographs of a beautiful waterfall in Cambodia. Quote, "I was like, 'What the fuck, Dad? I thought you were supposed to be deporting people.'" The prospect of travel excited this applicant. And in fact, over and over, the DHS agents at the fair emphasized how it was the best part of their job. A longtime ICE agent said he had accompanied undocumented immigrants on deportation flights to more than 50 countries and stayed in numerous 3- and 4-star hotels. A White House rooftop sniper said that she had, quote, "amazing experiences in foreign countries," and that the camaraderie of her sniper team reminded her of her college volleyball team. A CBP agent in Arizona said his favorite part of the job was riding horses through the mountains. Another staffer said that he traveled with his ambulance all over the world, loading it into massive C-17 airplanes and sleeping beside it midair. He said it was almost like camping. The motivating force behind American career fascism would appear to be wanderlust. The U.S. is filled with pretty nice guys who are ready to inflict, who have already inflicted, senseless and life-shattering violence on innocent, impoverished people. Back at the convention the next morning, a Border Patrol agent was walking the agency's emotional support dog around the conference perimeter. Her name was Willow, her handler said, and she was 5 years old. Willow's presence elicited coos of sympathy from agents whose job it is to impart unshakable traumas onto the wretched of the earth. This same sympathy was later extended to a disturbing Department of Defense big dog robot named Confidence. Back at the ICE booth, a lone protester was at last present, asking a simple question. At the deportation officer recruiting table, he asked, quote, "Have you read Eichmann in Jerusalem? Do you know what the Nazis said? They said they were just following orders. Have you thought about your own work in this context?" Agent demurred, turned away. She looked shy and frazzled. He asked her again, quote, "Have you read Eichmann in Jerusalem?" But at this point, another agent, a thick-necked, red-faced pig, walked up to the protester and leaned in his face in an effort of intimidation. I'm not certain I heard the next part correctly, but I think the man hissed, "Eichmann in what?" This accounting is correct and means that boredom and wanderlust are enough of motivating factors to draw some Americans to sell their souls. Not necessarily about the money or doing it because they have to pay their bills and they have no other choice. It seems to be a combination of boredom, a lack of purpose, wanderlust, and jealousy at their peers' positions in life. They could have become flight attendants, they could have worked in international aid, they could have gone into international business, but instead they're choosing a career where they kidnap parents and children and send them to whatever country has made the best deal with the US government. Do with this information what you will.